When Ethan signed up for the Galactic Student Exchange program, he thought it would be the adventure of a lifetime. Meeting new species, exploring strange worlds, maybe even learning alien technology. That was what he had dreamed of. But on the first day he moved into his dorm on Station A12, he found something completely unexpected. His new roommate wasn't just alien, she was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Her name was Lyra. She stood a little shorter than him, covered in a layer of fine, glowing fur that shimmered between blue and soft green depending on the light. Her big golden eyes reflected emotions too clearly: curiosity, kindness, and a sort of childlike wonder. Her voice was melodic and slow, like a song sung underwater. When she smiled, her ears flicked gently, and it was oddly adorable. Ethan didn't know if she meant to be cute or if her species just naturally was. They got along surprisingly well from day one. Lyra was quiet and organized, always keeping her side of the room spotless. She liked the lights dim and the air a bit warmer than humans usually preferred. Ethan didn't mind. She often asked innocent questions about human things, like why humans wore shoes indoors or why they used blankets instead of fur. She was curious but polite, always keeping a respectful distance. Ethan thought she was the perfect roommate, until the first night. Ethan had gone to bed early, exhausted from unpacking. The hum of the life support systems lulled him to sleep, but in the middle of the night he woke up suddenly. Something was wrapped around him. His first thought was that he had gotten tangled in his blanket, but when he moved he realized it was something soft and breathing. He blinked in the dim light and froze. Lyra was curled up right beside him, no, around him. Her tail was coiled loosely across his waist, her furry arms hugging his chest, and her head rested just under his chin. Her fur glowed faintly blue, warm and soft like silk. For a moment Ethan's brain just stopped working. "Lyra?" he whispered. She made a quiet sound, almost a purr. "Warm," she murmured sleepily. "Safe." Ethan lay there completely still. He didn't know whether to laugh or panic. He wasn't used to aliens treating him like a teddy bear. But she looked peaceful, her breathing slow, her face relaxed. She seemed so calm, almost fragile. He sighed softly. "Okay, I guess this is happening," he muttered under his breath. He didn't have the heart to wake her up or push her away. She looked like someone who hadn't slept properly in ages, so he just stayed still. Eventually, the warmth, the steady rhythm of her breathing, and the faint scent of flowers and clean air made him drift back to sleep. The next morning, she acted as if nothing had happened. She greeted him with her usual calm tone. "Good morning, Ethan. Did you sleep well?" Ethan blinked at her from across the room. Yeah, I think so." He hesitated. "Do you, remember anything from last night?" Lyra tilted her head, her golden eyes blinking slowly. "No, why?" "Oh, nothing," Ethan lied quickly. "Just weird dream, I guess." She smiled faintly. "Humans dream a lot. It is good for your hearts." He chuckled awkwardly and turned back to his breakfast. But inside he couldn't stop thinking about it. The memory of her warmth stayed with him all day, not in a strange way, but in a comforting one. He hadn't realized how long it had been since someone had simply held him like that. That night he thought maybe it was just an accident. Maybe she didn't even realize she had done it. But when the lights dimmed and he drifted off again, it happened the same way. At first there was silence, then a soft sound of movement. He felt the bed dip slightly, and then gentle warmth pressed against his back. Her arm slid around him again, pulling him close. She sighed, the faint glow of her fur lighting the room softly. This time Ethan didn't even move. He just whispered, "You really do think I'm a plush toy, huh?" Lyra didn't answer, but her tail twitched once like she'd heard him in her sleep. Ethan stared at the ceiling, a faint smile on his face. It was weird, yes, but it didn't feel wrong. Somehow, in that strange alien warmth, he felt safe, safer than he had in a long time. He closed his eyes again, listening to the quiet hum of the station, her slow heartbeat against his back, and the soft glow that filled the darkness like a nightlight. That was the night he realized something simple. Loneliness felt smaller when someone held you, even if that someone wasn't human. And from that night onward, Ethan knew one thing for sure. His alien roommate wasn't just strange. She was different in a way that made him question everything he thought he knew about comfort, connection, and home. The second night turned into the third, and the third turned into a routine. Every night, like clockwork, Lyra would quietly slip from her side of the room and climb into Ethan's bed once she thought he was asleep. She would wrap her arms, her tail, and even part of her glowing fur around him, pulling him close as if afraid he might disappear. At first, Ethan thought about stopping her. It was strange after all. Humans didn't just curl up with their roommates every night, but something in the way she held him made it impossible to refuse. There was no malice, no weird intent, just warmth, need, and a kind of gentle trust that was hard to explain. She treated him like he was her comfort object, her plush toy, something to hold on to when the dark grew too heavy. And slowly, Ethan found himself waiting for it. He began to notice small things. On the nights she didn't come immediately, he couldn't sleep. The room felt colder, emptier. The soft hum of the air system seemed louder. But the moment she slipped into his bed, wrapping him in that soft, glowing warmth, it all faded away. Her breathing, slow and steady, became the rhythm his own heart followed. It was strange how something so alien could feel so human. During the day, Lyra acted normal, polite, cheerful, curious about everything. She would ask him about Earth, about oceans and sunsets, about rain and snow. Sometimes she'd watch old human movies with him, her golden eyes wide as she tried to understand human emotions. Humans cry when they feel strong love, she'd say softly. We glow instead. Ethan would laugh and nod, pretending he wasn't thinking about how she glowed whenever she held him at night. One morning, after another night of being cocooned like a stuffed toy, Ethan finally asked, "Hey, Lyra, why do you always come to my bed?" She blinked, ears twitching slightly. "Do you not like it?" He hesitated. "No, it's not that. I just wonder why." Lyra looked down, her tail curling nervously. "On my world, we never sleep alone. It's how we stay calm. When I sleep alone, my chest feels tight, my thoughts become loud." She looked up at him, her voice trembling a little. "When I hold you, it stops." Ethan didn't know what to say for a moment. There was no manipulation in her tone and just honesty. She wasn't embarrassed, just vulnerable. "I see," he finally said quietly. "I guess it helps you feel safe." Her golden eyes softened. "Yes, you are warm, Ethan. You do not know, but your heart beats steady. It feels like home." Ethan felt something in his chest stir. Not romantic, not yet, but something deep and human. He smiled awkwardly. "Then, you can keep doing it." "I don't mind." Lyra's fur shimmered faintly brighter, her version of a smile. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, when she came again, she didn't sneak or wait for him to sleep. She came openly, quietly padding over and slipping beside him without hesitation. Ethan turned slightly to face her. She looked at him, eyes glowing in the dark. "Do you ever get lonely, Ethan?" she asked softly. He hesitated. "Sometimes, I guess." "Everyone does," she nodded. "It hurts, doesn't it?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "It does." She didn't reply. She just rested her head against his shoulder and sighed. "Then we will not be lonely together." Her words were simple, but they hit him harder than he expected. In that moment, he realized how empty his life had been before her. How easy it was to live surrounded by people yet feel completely alone. Lyra, an alien from a world light years away, understood that feeling better than most humans he'd met. As days passed, the others in the dorm noticed that Ethan looked more rested, calmer, even happier. He didn't tell them why. How could he explain that an alien girl treated him like a favorite plush toy? And somehow it healed something in both of them. Sometimes when he woke up in the middle of the night, he'd see her glowing faintly against the darkness, her fur lighting the room with soft blue light. He'd feel her breathing slow and steady beside him, her fingers clutching his shirt as if afraid he might vanish. In those quiet moments, Ethan understood something powerful. Connection didn't need to come from words or even from the same species. Sometimes it was as simple as holding someone through the dark. He closed his eyes, letting her warmth pull him back to sleep. And as he drifted off, one thought stayed in his mind. Maybe humans weren't so different from aliens after all. Both just wanted to feel safe. Both just wanted to belong. That night, for the first time, Ethan wrapped his arm around her too. Lyra didn't say anything, but her glow brightened softly. And in the silence of that alien dorm room, two hearts from two worlds beat in quiet harmony. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's strange nightly routine with Lyra became the most natural thing in his life. He stopped questioning it. When night fell, he would lie down, close his eyes and wait for her quiet steps to cross the room. She would slide into his bed, her soft glowing fur brushing his arm, her warmth surrounding him like a living blanket. At first he thought it was just habit, something she did without thinking. But one night, as he felt her tail curl gently around his waist, a question that had been resting in his chest finally slipped out. "Lyra," he whispered, half afraid she wouldn't answer. "Why do you hold me every night?"
Is it just because you miss your world?
She didn't move at first. For a long time there was only silence. Then she breathed out slowly, her voice quiet and heavy with something deeper than tiredness. "Yes," she said softly. "And no?" Ethan opened his eyes. The faint blue glow from her fur illuminated her face. Calm, but her eyes looked far away like she was seeing something that wasn't there. "In my world," she began, "we are never alone. We sleep in groups curled together. We share warmth and heartbeat. It is how we survive the cold nights." Her voice trembled. "When the storms come and the sky screams, we hold each other until it ends. Alone, we don't make it." She paused, her hand clutching the blanket tightly. "When I came here, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The silence was like a scream inside my head. I tried to sleep alone, but I couldn't. It hurt." Ethan turned slightly to face her. "You mean you can't sleep without someone near?" Her golden eyes met his. "It's not just sleep. It's safety, comfort. My people call it Hathra, the bond that keeps the heart steady. Without it, the mind begins to fade." Ethan's throat tightened. "Fade?" She nodded, her glow dimming slightly. "Loneliness can kill us, Ethan, not quickly, but slowly. We lose color. We stop glowing. We stop caring. I didn't want that to happen to me here." Ethan was quiet for a moment. He finally understood. She didn't hold him because it was cute or strange. She did it because it was her way of surviving. He reached out and placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "You don't have to be alone here," he said softly. "Not as long as I'm around." Her eyes widened a little, and for a moment she looked like she might cry, though he wasn't sure if her kind could. Her glow shimmered faintly. "You would stay?" "Of course," he said, smiling. "You're my friend." She looked down, her voice trembling. "You're kind, Ethan. Kinder than most of your kind I have met. Humans are strange. They say they need no touch, no closeness, yet their eyes always look sad." He chuckled quietly. "Yeah, maybe we lie to ourselves about that. Maybe we just got used to pretending." Lyra rested her head against his chest. "Then we will not pretend tonight." Ethan froze for a second, then relaxed. Her warmth pressed against him, heartbeat syncing with his. For a long time, neither spoke. The soft hum of the space station filled the silence, steady and distant. After a while, Lyra whispered, "When I hold you, I dream of home. But not of the pain, just the warmth. The feeling of belonging. You make the darkness quiet." Those words hit Ethan harder than he expected. He wasn't sure what to say. He thought of his own home, how long it had been since he'd felt that kind of closeness with anyone. He had left Earth searching for knowledge. But somehow, in a quiet dorm light years away, an alien girl had reminded him what connection meant. "You make it quiet for me too," he said honestly. Lyra's glow brightened a little, and her tail flicked gently against his leg. It was her way of smiling. "Then we help each other." They lay there for a long time, two beings from two different worlds, finding peace in something that didn't need to be explained. Before drifting off to sleep, Ethan thought about how strange it all was. A human and a Threxian bound by warmth and silence. Yet it felt right. It felt real. That night, when he finally closed his eyes, he realized something beautiful. Maybe comfort didn't belong to one species. Maybe it was something universal, something written deep in every living heart. And as he drifted into sleep with Lyra's soft glow lighting the dark, Ethan understood the truth. Sometimes it's not the world that makes us human. It's the way we choose to hold someone else through the storm. The nights grew longer, and the bond between Ethan and Lyra deepened with every passing day. What had once been strange had now become something both of them depended on. It wasn't just about sleep anymore. It was about comfort, trust, and quiet understanding. They began talking more at night, just before drifting into dreams. The lights would be dim, the room glowing faintly with Lyra's soft blue light. Ethan would lie on his side, facing her, while she traced shapes on the blanket with her glowing fingers. her voice calm and low as she spoke about her world. "Back home," she said one night. "Our sky was green in the day and violet at night. When the sun went down, the whole sky shimmered like glass. You could see the storms moving far away, glowing in the dark." Ethan smiled gently. "Sounds beautiful." "It was," she whispered. "But it was loud too. The storms never stopped. They came with light and sound shaking the ground. We used to huddle together, my family, my brothers, my little one." She paused, her eyes lowering. "He was small. He used to cling to my fur every night just like I cling to you now." Ethan's chest tightened. "You had a brother?" "Yes," she said softly. "His name was Leth. He was still young when the Red Plague came. It took him before we could even say goodbye." The room fell silent. Only the quiet hum of the station's systems filled the space between them. Lyra's glow dimmed, her tail curling close to her body. Ethan didn't know what to say at first. He wanted to comfort her, but words felt too small. "I'm sorry," he said finally. She looked up at him, her golden eyes shining faintly. "Do not be sorry. He sleeps under the green sky now. When I hold you at night, I remember holding him. It makes me feel that he is still close somehow." That confession hit Ethan straight in the heart. All this time he had thought Lyra clung to him only for warmth, only for her kind's habit. But now he understood. She was holding on to memories, to love that she didn't want to lose. He reached out and touched her hand gently. "You don't have to feel alone anymore, Lyra," he said. "I'm here." She looked at his hand for a long time before placing her smaller, glowing one over it. "You are strange, Ethan. You speak like my people do and from the heart." He smiled a little. "Maybe that's one thing our worlds have in common." From that night onward, their late-night talks became deeper, more personal. Ethan shared his own stories, about his family back on Earth, about his mother who used to hum him to sleep, about how quiet his apartment had been before the exchange program. Sometimes, he admitted, "I used to fall asleep hugging a pillow just to pretend someone was there." "Guess I was lonely too," Lyra smiled faintly. "So we both were alone before we found each other." "Yeah," he said quietly. "I guess we were." They both laughed softly, and in that gentle laughter the walls between human and alien disappeared completely. They weren't just roommates anymore. They had become something closer, two souls finding light in each other's company. As the days went on, their bond started to show even during the daytime. Lyra began sitting closer to Ethan during study hours, sharing snacks she had learned to make from human ingredients. Sometimes she would hum softly while he worked, a melody from her home that made the air feel peaceful. Other students noticed, whispering and teasing, but Ethan didn't care. He had never felt this kind of connection before, not even with another human. Lyra made him feel seen, heard, and strangely understood. One evening, when they were lying side by side as usual, Lyra said quietly, "On my planet, when two hearts beat in rhythm during sleep, we call it share light. It means the souls understand each other." Ethan looked at her, touched. "Do you think we have that?" Lyra smiled faintly, her glow reflecting softly on his face. "Yes, when I hold you, the silence in me stops. That is share light." Ethan felt warmth spread through his chest, stronger than before. It wasn't romance. It wasn't attraction. It was something purer. A deep emotional bond between two beings who had found peace in each other's presence. Before falling asleep that night, he whispered, "Thank you, Lyra, for letting me be your warmth." She looked at him with her soft golden eyes and replied, "No, Ethan, thank you for being my home." And as they drifted into sleep, their hearts beat in quiet harmony, one human, one alien, both carrying the gentle weight of love, loss, and the comfort of being found again in the vast loneliness of space. Life on the station moved on quietly. Ethan and Lyra's friendship had become something unbreakable, steady, soft, and filled with unspoken comfort. Every night she still came to him, wrapping her arms and tail around him like he was the only anchor she had in this strange human world. And every morning he woke up with peace in his heart. But peace never lasts forever. One morning, Ethan's friend Max came knocking on his door. He barged in with his usual grin and loud voice. "Hey, Ethan, you ready for class?" But as soon as he stepped in, he froze. Lyra was standing by the window, her glowing fur catching the morning light, and Ethan was still half asleep, wearing the blanket she always shared with him. Max blinked. Wait, were you two, sleeping together? Ethan rubbed his eyes, realizing how it must have looked. It's not what you think, he said quickly. She just has trouble sleeping alone. Max raised a brow. Trouble sleeping alone? Dude, that's not normal. She's an alien, not a cat. He chuckled, but it wasn't a kind laugh. Man, you're her personal plush toy, aren't you? Ethan's stomach twisted. That's not funny, Max. Hey, I'm not judging, Max said, smirking. Just saying, people are talking. Word gets around fast here. You two are kind of famous. Lyra stood quietly by the window, her glow dimming slightly. She didn't understand every word, but she understood enough. Her ears lowered and her tail wrapped around her leg, a sign of shame. When Max finally left, Ethan turned to her. Lyra, hey, don't listen to him. He's just joking, but she didn't meet his eyes. Your kind thinks it is strange, she said softly. They laugh. They don't understand, Ethan replied. They don't know what this means to you. To us. Lyra's voice was small. Maybe I have made you look foolish, Ethan's heart hurt. No, you haven't. You've made me feel human again. She looked up at him then, her golden eyes full of emotion. But your people will never see it that way. To them I am a creature, not a heart. Her words struck him harder than any insult could. He realized she was right. The humans around them didn't see what he saw. The gentle soul behind those glowing eyes, the pain she carried from a world long gone. They saw only difference. That night, for the first time in weeks, Lyra didn't come to his bed. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the silence pressing against him like a weight. He could almost feel the cold air where her warmth used to be. He missed her breathing, the soft rhythm that had lulled him to sleep for so long. When he finally got up and looked across the room, she was lying on her own bed, her back turned to him. Her fur glowed faintly. Duller than usual, Lyra, he whispered. She didn't move. I should stop, she said quietly. You have given me comfort, but now I bring you trouble. Ethan shook his head. You don't. I don't care what anyone thinks. They don't matter. She turned then, her eyes wet and glowing faintly. It matters to me, Ethan. You are human. You will return home one day. I do not want to be the reason you are mocked. Her words broke something inside him. He crossed the room and sat beside her, ignoring the cold floor. Listen to me, he said softly. You are my friend. You've helped me more than anyone ever has. I don't care if they laugh, let them. I'd rather be your plush toy than be like them, empty, lonely, pretending they don't need anyone. Lyra's eyes widened slightly, her glow flickering brighter for a moment. You mean that? He nodded. Every word. Slowly, she reached out, her soft fingers touching his cheek. Humans hide their hearts too much, she whispered. You do not. He smiled faintly. Maybe that's because you taught me not to. That night she came back to him again, carefully, quietly, as if afraid he might change his mind. But when Ethan turned toward her and wrapped his arms around her first, she froze for a moment, then melted into his hold. Her fur shimmered a deep, peaceful blue, brighter than it had been in days. Neither of them said a word. They didn't need to. The silence spoke for them, a silence full of comfort, promise, and quiet defiance. Outside their little dorm room, the world could talk and laugh all it wanted. But inside, under the soft light of her glow, there was only warmth, the kind of warmth that didn't need explanation. And as they fell asleep, Ethan realized something powerful. It didn't matter if others saw it as strange. What mattered was that in the coldness of space they had found something real, something that made them both feel alive. The space station had always been calm, a silent island floating between the stars. But that night the silence broke. The alarms wailed through the halls, red lights flashing against cold metal. A massive ion storm was sweeping across the sector, and everyone was told to stay inside their quarters. Ethan sat by the window, watching flashes of electric light dance across the void. It was beautiful but also terrifying, the kind of beauty that came with danger. Lyra stood beside him, her fur glowing faintly blue. But tonight something was wrong. She was trembling. Hey, he said softly. It's just a storm. The shields can handle it. Her voice came out in a whisper. You do not understand, Ethan. My people, we remember storms like this. He turned to her, confused. What do you mean? She looked out at the raging light beyond the glass. My home world was lost to one. Our skies burned with lightning for weeks. We could not escape. The air became poison, the oceans turned dark. My mother held me close when the ground shook for the last time. Her words hit him like a punch to the chest. The storm outside wasn't just a natural event for her, it was a ghost. Lyra, he whispered. Her glowing eyes were wide, filled with old fear. When I see this light, she said, I hear the screams again. I smell the ash. It feels like my world is dying all over. Before Ethan could respond, another loud boom shook the room. The lights flickered. Lyra gasped and fell to her knees, clutching her head as if trying to block out the sound. He rushed to her side, holding her shoulders. It's okay. It's just power fluctuations. The shields are fine. But she wasn't hearing him. Her breathing was sharp and fast, her fur flickering in uneven patterns. No, it's happening again, she cried softly. The light is eating us. Ethan pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her tightly. No, look at me, Lyra, look at me. She tried to open her eyes, tears glowing as they rolled down her cheeks. You're not there anymore, he whispered. You're here with me. You're safe. For a long moment, she just trembled against him, unable to breathe properly. The station kept shaking, the storm roaring outside like a living thing. But he didn't let go. He held her tighter, whispering softly to her again and again. It's over, Lyra. You're safe. I won't let anything happen to you. Slowly, her trembling eased. Her breathing steadied. Her glowing fur began to calm to a soft shade of blue again. She clung to him desperately, her arms and tail wrapping around him just like they did every night. But this time it wasn't for comfort. It was for survival. When the alarms finally stopped, the silence that followed was heavy. The storm had passed, but something inside her had changed. Ethan sat with her for a while, still holding her close. She didn't move, her head resting against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I'm sorry, she whispered. You had to see that part of me. He shook his head gently. Don't say that. You don't have to hide from me. Her eyes glimmered. On my world, we were taught to be strong, to never show fear. But you hold me even when I break. He smiled faintly. Maybe that's what humans are good at. Holding broken things together. She gave a small, trembling laugh. You are strange creatures. Yeah, he said softly. So are you. For a while, they just sat there, surrounded by the soft hum of the station. The storm outside was gone, but inside, something new had settled between them. Something deep, fragile, and real. Lyra finally looked up at him. When I held you at night, she said quietly, I thought it was only for me. I wanted to remember warmth again. But tonight, you held me. You gave it back. Ethan brushed a tear from her cheek. Then we're even, she smiled. A slow, glowing smile that made the whole room feel lighter. No, Ethan, I think I owe you my heart. He froze for a second, not knowing what to say. But he didn't need to. She leaned forward and rested her forehead gently against his. Her glow surrounded them like soft moonlight. In that quiet moment, two souls from different worlds shared the same heartbeat. Outside, the stars returned, bright and endless, silent witnesses to something neither human nor alien could explain. But both could feel. That night, as they finally drifted into sleep, Lyra didn't just treat him like a plush toy anymore. She held him because he was her peace, her anchor, her reminder that even after a storm, warmth could still be found in the arms of another. And for Ethan, her glowing light wasn't strange anymore. It was home. The days after the storm felt different. The air in the station seemed quieter, slower, as if the storm had washed away all the noise inside their hearts. Ethan and Lyra were closer now than ever. She smiled more, laughed softly at his jokes, and no longer hid her glowing eyes behind fear. But peace never lasted long among the stars. One morning, Ethan received a message from Earth Command. His transfer request and the one he had submitted months ago had been approved. He was being called back home. When he read the message, his hands went cold. He should have been happy. Going home meant safety, family, and familiar skies. But all he could think about was Lyra, her soft voice, her quiet glow, the way she held him like he was something precious. That night, he didn't tell her. He couldn't. They sat by the window watching distant comets paint silver trails across the dark. She leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice calm and full of wonder. Your stars are different from mine, she said softly. They look colder. He smiled faintly. Maybe because they're far from home. She turned to him, sensing something behind his words. You speak like one who will leave soon. Ethan's heart skipped. Lyra. Her eyes softened. It is true, isn't it? He sighed. They want me back. Earth Command says my service time here is over. There was silence, the kind that hurt more than words. Her tail stopped moving, her glow dimmed to a pale blue. When? She asked. In 3 days, he said quietly. Lyra looked down, her fingers twisting together. 3 days. For your world, that is short. For mine, it feels like the end of time. He reached out, gently touching her hand. It doesn't have to be goodbye. Maybe I can come back someday. She gave a sad smile. Humans say many maybes, but the stars are wide and promises fade between them. Ethan wanted to argue, to tell her she was wrong, but part of him knew she wasn't. He looked into her glowing eyes and felt something tear inside. He had never imagined that leaving this alien world would feel like leaving a part of himself behind. That night, when she wrapped her arms around him, her hold was different, tighter, trembling. It wasn't the way she used to cling for comfort. It was the way someone holds on when they're afraid of losing something forever. Lyra, he whispered in the dark. I don't want to go. She rested her forehead against his chest, her voice breaking. Then don't. But he couldn't answer. He had no choice, or at least that's what he told himself. The day of departure came. His bag was packed. The station buzzed with voices, farewells, and echoes of engines warming up. He stood by the docking bay, his heart heavy as metal. Lyra was there, standing a few feet away. Her glow was soft but dim, as if her light itself was grieving. She stepped closer and placed her hand over his chest. I learned something from you, she said quietly. Humans are fragile, but brave. You hold pain in silence and still choose to care. He swallowed hard. You taught me too. You showed me that even across worlds, hearts can understand each other. She smiled, and small and trembling. Then maybe we will meet again in another sky. He nodded, his voice shaking. I'll look for your glow in the stars. She leaned in and pressed her forehead to his in their silent way of goodbye. Her light grew brighter for a moment, wrapping them both in soft gold. Then she stepped back. The doors closed. The shuttle lifted off. Ethan sat by the window, watching the station shrink into the endless dark. His reflection stared back at him, eyes glistening. And then he saw it. Through the glass far below, one faint blue glow shining against the black void. Lyra was standing by the window, watching him go. He pressed his hand to the glass. Goodbye, he whispered. The stars stretched around him as the shuttle entered warp. But the farther he went, the emptier he felt. The hum of the engine sounded like a heartbeat he'd lost. On Earth, people welcomed him, congratulated him, called him a hero. But every night when he closed his eyes, he could still feel her warmth, the way she had held him close like he was the last safe thing in the universe. And sometimes, in his dreams, he saw her again, standing under a field of alien stars, her fur glowing softly, whispering his name through the distance. He would wake with tears on his face, whispering back, I miss you too. Years later, when he finally returned to space, the first thing he looked for wasn't his next mission. It was her. And though he never found her station again, he sometimes saw a soft blue light flicker among the stars. And deep in his heart, he knew. Lyra was still out there. Still glowing, still holding his memory close, the way she once held him every night. And in that endless silence between worlds, their hearts still reached for each other. The end.